Thank you for joining me in the room. This is Marlon Johnson. I want to talk today about the 13 Keys tracker. They adapted this method to predict outcome of elections, the popular vote, okay, because the Electoral College is not really factored into this. But and so you say a geophysicist, well, what happened to this guy was able to predict earthquakes based on several predictive events, right? So an earthquake happens, and so historians look back, well, what happened just before the earthquake? What were the conditions? So they do the same thing here now for um, uh, the outcomes of elections. What factors exist that would predict the outcome of the election one way or the other? Okay, and so some of these factors they rely on a lot of historical knowledge, analytical skills, and so it's not something that is intuitive. You look at them, it takes some discussion. So, what are the 13 keys? Well, let's take a look at what they are. Let me share that with you. Okay, so the first key or the first predictive condition would be a party mandate. So after the last midterm, and I'm not sure that really applies here because Kamala Harris was, she was our vice president, but we didn't know that she was going to be the candidate for sure until just now, and it's after midterm elections. But as far as a party mandate, Kamala Harris has the support of enough Democratic delegates to win the party's nomination for president, according to CNN. Now, what delegates are. Maybe let me get into that later. Okay, I'll explain to in party politics within the Democrats, the Democratic Party, what the rules are. So that's the first predictive. So let's look at. So we say here, let's see here, midterm gains. Now, did the let's leave that blank because we're undecided on that. Okay, we're just gonna just click. Okay, we're just gonna leave it blank. All right. No primary contest. What that which means is there was no primary where other Democrats said, "Hey, let it be me, let it be me." Right now, the convention's coming up. Nobody's expected to challenge a Kamala. So let's just say that likely, very likely, there's no primary contest. Okay. Um, the incumbent seeking reelection, and that what I mean by the incumbent is not Joe Biden necessarily. The incumbent party is seeking reelection, so she gets that one. She's the incumbent based on party. So there we go. So no third party. Well, I don't know what Robert Kennedy is planning. Um, I don't think anybody's really taking him seriously. He's got a worm in his brain. He says, he won't eat monkeys or people. I'm not sure that he's really a player. So we're going to say that there's no third party there. Strong short-term economy. Okay, I keep hearing, about inflation and stuff like that. I don't know. Seems to me that we're doing pretty good compared to the way we've lived through, if you weren't very wealthy, if you were middle class, then after the 80s through the 90s, your lifestyle got worse and worse. Seems to me that we've recovered from COVID fairly well. I'm going to go ahead and give a likely to a strong short-term economy. Strong long-term economy, which is another checklist. Well, the Build Back Better program, more jobs, the chip infrastructure. There's a Hyundai plant being built down the street down here. I'm going to go ahead and say, at least here locally, it looks like a strong, long-term economy. Okay, major policy change. Now, what that means is this: in this instance, what we're talking about is you have Kamala Harris, who is arguably more left than Joe Biden, not by much, but some. And at least has the appearance of that. She's a breath of fresh air. So as far as a major policy change, let's say we're leaning that way. More likely than not, it looks like a policy change. Um, uh, Not to the right, but maybe a little to the left. No social unrest. It's not 1968. People, somebody took a shot at Trump. I think everybody understands that it was a lone nut, that nobody seriously believes that Joe Biden sent that poor child after Trump. That's kind of a ridiculous thing. Okay, no scandal. So what we're talking about here are bipartisan scandals, like with Richard Nixon, where the Democrats were going to impeach him and the Republicans were going to let him. They were going to vote. And they went and told him, and so Nixon resigned. But that's the kind of scandal. We're not talking about the kind of scandal where Trump gets caught on a hot mic saying that he grabs women inappropriately. So we're going to give no scandal to the incumbent. Okay, no foreign or military failure. Now, the Afghan withdrawal, which I'm not sure if it's seen as a failure, how it was seen. It's kind of in the rearview mirror. The Republicans will use it, but I'm going to say leans towards no foreign military failure. Okay, and I'm not counting the Hamas-Israel thing as our military one or the other. But now, as far as a foreign policy success, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that likely the what's going on in Israel hurts the Democratic Party some. So I'm going to say, let's give them that. Let's say certainly it hurts. Certainly it hurts. Okay. A charismatic incumbent. Well, let's give it to her. I mean, charisma means that she's got style, she's got some class. The last the press conference she gave yesterday, when she spoke about knowing Trump's type, I thought was very artful. So I'm going to just go lean. So I'm going to say she probably's got that, and then an uncharismatic challenger. Well, Trump is a lot of things, but he's not uncharismatic. He's a very charismatic person, like him or not. So we're going to give that to no, a false. Well, according to the 13 keys, let me just double check this here now. I do believe, let me check my sources here. I do believe that according to this formula, that the incumbent, when 6 or more are false, the challenger wins. When 6 or more. So all the things that I was not sure about, let's say these 3 here, let's say that major policy change, we're going to make that red. And we're going to say no success, okay. And let's just say that you think that she's not charismatic. Boom. So even if you give the Republicans, if you give MAGA all of these, Kamala still wins. I don't see how she loses. And that makes me feel very, very good. Okay. I don't know about you. I'm really happy to hear that. And I'll get back with you on what delegates are, for the, how that whole thing works. The Trump campaign is crying about, hey, you're throwing a surprise at us by putting the VP up for president. Well, I thought that's what VPs were for, but okay. And I'll explain what that's about, and I'll get with Professor Bowden next time about what Congress is all about, how it was formed, and what it's supposed to be doing, and why it is dysfunctional, and why a little dysfunction is baked into the cake. All right. See you next time.